Hi guys, it's Meridy here, and I am here today to show you the instructions for making your April 2021 Not Just for Boys Page Kit by me, Meridy Twilling. And I want to start out by saying if you are not part of our Facebook community group, you may want to join that group because you can share photos of your finished projects that you make either with our regular kits or with these page kits. And we love seeing your work. I love seeing what pictures everybody uses when they're putting these kits together. And sometimes there's leftover pieces from these kits, like this one today, and a lot of you have been making layouts with the leftover pieces, and we love seeing those too. So if you join our Facebook community group, you can see everybody's work and get some inspiration. Our design team posts there almost every day, and so do a lot of our members, and we love seeing everything. So enough about that. This is the page kit for April 2021, and it comes with 3 pieces of patterned paper, a piece of cardstock, these really cool freckled fawn chipboard stickers, and these Simple Stories chipboard frames. There's 6 pieces in here, and 1 paper cut, whoops, these are not glued down, they're just sitting here. 1 paper cut for your title that says happiness is ... So this is the layouts. I'm going to show you the layouts that we're going to be creating today out of these supplies. You'll have full color instructions in your kit if you purchase the kit that tell you all the cutting guides to create these 2 layouts. So yeah, we're going to get to work and be creating this double page layout, which can work as a double page, or if you prefer creating single pages in your albums, it can work as 2 single page layouts. So the first thing that you're going to want to do is grab your instructions and cut down your papers to what the cutting guides say in your instructions. Usually I start by cutting off the branding strips, but do not cut the branding strip off of this paper with the little beetles going down the side, because we're going to use it just like this. The branding strip is part of the layout. But start by cutting off the branding strips of all the other papers, and then go through the cutting guides and cut the rest of the papers to the sizes that you need them to be. And I'm going to do that really quickly right now, and I'll be back after I get my paper cut. Okay, now that you've got all of your papers cut, we're going to start working on the left-hand side of this layout, and I'm going to tell you step by step how it goes together. So you're going to take your wood grain paper first, and then this polka dotted paper with the little beetles on the side. I like to lay everything out and not adhere anything until I know that it's all laid out correctly. I'm going to be using white paper to represent my photos. So this is representing the 4x6 photo that's going to be on this layout. And you're going to grab a few frames here. I used this frame and this frame and this frame for this layout, for this side of the layout. I did some creative cutting on these frames. First of all, you're going to cut right across this frame, because we're going to use it in 2 places on this layout. It's going to tuck underneath. You know what? I'm going to adhere the photo to the frame first, because that way I can lift it up and down as one piece. And I know that a 4x6 picture is going in here, so it's okay to adhere it to the frame first, even though we don't have everything laid out in the correct places, because I know that the photo is going to go in here. So let's do that. So at least when I lift this up, it comes up as one piece all the time. It's way easier to work with. And this frame is going to tuck behind there. And this frame, let's see, I'm going to move things around a little. So this is essentially how these are all going to work together. It's pretty good like this. I'm going to start adhering the back of my layout so that quits moving around. If you wanted to ink the edges of these papers to make them pop out a little, you could always do that. I used, later on, I'm going to show you some ink that I used, and I used like a mint colored ink to match just about the color of this frame is the color ink that I used. The one that I used is from Stampin' Up, but I have inks from all kinds of different brands and manufacturers. So just pick one that you might already own that might match it. If you want. You don't have to ink the edges. That's just if you want. So now that the back of the layout, the base that we're working with, is all put together, we can start adhering, whoops, the frames where they go. So what I would do is start with the one in the very bottom, which is this polka dotted one. It's in the very back. And just adhere that. I put a lot of adhesive on these frames. They're a little bit curved from Simple Stories, a little bit warped, I guess. So I use a lot of adhesive. I'll put it about right here. And then the next frame that I would adhere would be this one, because it's next in line. And if you want, you could trim the top of this off to use the top of this frame on another layout. I would trim just where it starts turning orange, because that's the part you can't see. So we'll put that off to the side. If you want to create another layout with your scraps, which I often do. So that looks like it's pretty good right about there. I like to leave this kind of in place when I'm adhering down the bottom layers, so you can kind of make sure you're putting everything in the right place. The next frame to adhere is this one. And it just kind of sticks right in there. And then the final frame that you adhere down is this one, and I used dimensional adhesive to put this frame down because there are so many layers under here that I just wanted this popped up on dimensional adhesive so it's not trying to bend and touch the bottom and warping. I used this kind of adhesive. Let's see, that's the top. And I didn't put it across the whole bottom because it's sitting up here. So maybe just a little bit in the middle of the bottom right there. And I did put it down both sides. Just like that. You could put more in the center. I'll put one more strip in the center here. Actually, I'll put 2 more strips in the center so it just kind of holds its shape on the page. Okay. There we go. And just pop that right into place. Okay, so the base of this layout is done, and the next thing that we're going to add is the title, which says Happiness Is. So I'm going to show you what I did to this title to make it a little more exciting than just white letters, because it does look fine with the white letters, but it kind of gets lost if they just stay white. So I used the same color ink, the color ink I was talking about earlier, like a mint colored, mint green ink, and a sponge dauber. And I just did an ombre effect. Started at the bottom of the letters. I made those the darkest because those are going over the white paper, but the top of the letters are going over this darker paper. So I wanted the bottom of the letters to be darker, so those would pop against the light paper, and the top of the letters just a little bit of ink, so they're still pretty fairly light, and that will show up on the wood grain paper. And you just have to keep blending and working with the ink to get it to look like you want. These words are pretty fragile, so as you can see, I'm holding each letter down as I'm doing this because I don't want to rip the paper, because these are fairly fragile. I like altering my white paper cuts. You could also use Nuvo drops and cover these with Nuvo drops if you wanted. You could color them with watercolors. They might warp a little with watercolor. You could color them with markers. You could just outline them with a black pen if you don't want to ink them to make them pop a little. You could do all sorts of different things to make your cut be a little more popping off the page. So then here's our title. Whew, these little dots. Happiness is, you've got 5 little dots in your packages. The bigger size dots are the dots for the eye, and the 3 tiny dots are the ellipses dots over there. I adhere these down with a thin glue pen. I use this Zig pen. I also have a thin tonic glue pen that just does the tiny little fine point glue, and I just kind of dot it around my words so it's not bleeding out and smooshing out when I push it on the paper. So and I want half of it sticking off onto the wood grain and the other half onto this paper. Dot my eye. And there we go. And then the hardest ones are these little ellipses down here because they're so tiny. If you have tweezers, you might want to use your tweezers on those because it's very tiny. Oops, I'm moving that one all around. Okay. And that is the first side of the layout right there. And I put a date, I stamped the date at the bottom right here. And I didn't include any journaling on this layout because I have other pictures from this layout that have journaling, but you could easily put a journaling, write some journaling down here or over here, or journaling strips. You have scraps of white paper from this kit that you have a lot of scraps left over actually that you could add journaling down here. Okay, then for the right side of this oh, I'm not finished. I almost forgot. All of these little words. There are so many of them, and I put 7 of them running down the side of my layout right here. I started with these memories together again. Oh, the airplanes. I live close by a military base, and we get to hear the airplanes often, if you can hear them in the background of this video. I'm so used to it, it doesn't ever bother me, but when I'm making a video, I just noticed that the airplanes are flying over really loud. Let's see. Yummy food and generation. I used adhesive on the back of these. I used some glossy accents because I don't always trust that chipboard stickers stick. In my experience, they pop off the pages. So I'm just going to add a little bit of adhesive under each little sticker. And I just start at the bottom and get that one placed right, and then work my way up. I kind of staggered these so they kind of go on and off the frame. I'll get enough adhesive there for the next couple. And then once I get these all on, then my layout will be complete. I got glue on there. Now my layout is complete. Okay, so now, whoops, now this side of the layout is finished. Oh no, it's not, I lied. One more of the Freckled Fawn stickers. I put smiles all around down here. There we go. Now it's complete. And we will work on the right side of the layout next. This is what the right side of the layout is going to look like when we're done with it. So I will start putting this together. The first thing that I did was adhere the white paper to the gutted polka dot paper that you have. And once I adhered this, then I used the same color, that mint color ink, to ink the background of this layout. And I know that pictures are going to be covering up this whole middle part. Ooh, just got fingerprints. Pictures are going to be covering up this whole middle part, so I use this middle part to kind of dab my ink off so it's not, see how it's showing such a circle at first? I dabbed the ink off a little and then, so it's not so harsh. And then worked my way out to the edges because I don't want big spots like that to be showing. If you don't want to use ink for this part, you can use watercolors on this part or any kind of mixed media. You could use acrylic paint even and just swipe brush strokes across. You can use colored pencils. You can use nothing at all. This is totally optional. If you do not have a little dauber like this, you can use a little makeup wedge, those little foam makeup wedges. Those work really well too, and just dab that in your ink, and those work really well too. So this is almost done. I'm gonna stop inking now, but when I do get my whole layout put together, I'm gonna see if there's some places where I need a little more ink, and I can go back in and add those later. So for now, we'll just put this off to the side. And you're gonna start with this piece of wood grain paper here. And then you're gonna use the rest of the frames. We used this whole pack of frames on this layout. Now, there was butterflies on these frames and a lot of flowers, and I didn't want them to be butterflies and flowers, so I strategically covered up many of those images. I am gonna start by adhering my faux pictures that I've got here underneath the frames because it'll be easier to work with them in one full piece rather than the frames not attached to the pictures. But I'm not going to adhere anything onto the page yet. I'm just getting the faux pictures into the frame so I can just move around pieces. So if you want to leave the butterflies and flowers showing, of course do that. If you don't have pictures to fill all these openings, maybe you want one of these to be a journaling spot. You could just put a piece of cardstock behind the frame and journal on it. Hope I'm doing these right. Yes. Yeah. You can do whatever you want here. I just, since this is not just for boys kit club, and many of us may be working with more masculine pictures or pictures of girls who don't care for flowers and butterflies, that's why I covered up the flowers and butterflies on these frames. But I still thought that the frames looked really good for spring pictures, so that's why I wanted to work with these. And then I just kind of overlapped them, and as you can see, you overlap a lot and cover up some of those flowers and butterflies. So I'm going to start adhering down because this looks pretty good. And like everything is going to fit, and actually the ink that I did around my edges is fairly showing up pretty good around all the corners. Maybe I'll add a little bit more down here. Just to add a little bit of color popping out from underneath down here. Okay. Let's see. Yeah, I like that better. So then I would start adhering these. The bottom one first, which was this one on the left-hand side, goes first. And this one is second, because it's the next one. How they're layered. And it just barely sits on top of this one right here. And then this one, since it's going on top of two frames, I'm gonna put dimensional adhesive on the top section so that it is not, except I'm almost out of dimensional adhesive. Oh guys, I'm just gonna use a little bit right here. And a tiny little bit right there. Whew. I'm cutting it close here with my foam tape. I need to get a new roll. Okay. Oop. Sometimes I add adhesive to everything. I'm gonna put a little bit of glue there so it sticks really well right there. And as you can see, I gotta hold it down for a minute because these frames are very curved, kind of warped a little. But after you get them in their album, after you get this page in its album, they should flatten out pretty well. I'm gonna close up my ink here. So as you can tell, I did some of these frames sideways. Like this one, it was meant to go this direction. So I'm gonna cover up all of these butterflies with more words from my sticker sheet. And I just picked words that matched my own personal pictures. You can pick which words match your pictures. I used always fun, quality time, yay for today, laughing, lovely, memories, somewhere on here, playing, smile, oops, aunt, and delightful. But as you could tell, there are quite a few words that I did not use, so you have a lot. Oh, I used some over here too. Outdoors, cousin time, good times, and family. Okay. But as you could tell, there are a lot of words left that I did not use, so you could pick whichever words fit with the theme of your pictures. And again, I adhered these down using a little bit of glossy accents because that's what I do. I did lay these out and make sure they covered up all of the pieces of this butterfly before I started adhering them down. Make sure that I had the longer words where they needed to be to cover up the background. And I did leave some of the flowers showing on this side because it was spring in my pictures, and it's okay to have some flowers on masculine pages. But if you wanted, you could cover up this whole flowers with the extra freckled fawn chipboard stickers because there are plenty left. But I kind of liked a few flowers showing. And yeah. And there we have that side. And I did stamp the date on the bottom right here with the roller date stamp. If you wanted to add journaling, there's a little room up here for journaling, or like I said, you could leave a picture out and journal in one of the squares. But yeah, I think that is it. I will put close-ups of all of these layouts at the end of this video right now. Thanks guys, bye.